We at IWA believe that once you endorse this vision, you can act as a champion to provide inspiration and momentum for all utilities to achieve a cultural shift on the needed interconnected pillars, that is adaptation, mitigation, and leadership. Next slide. So in April 2022, we launched a call for the IWA Climate Smart Recognition Program to inspire utility leaders to become increasingly climate smart and also embrace the cultural shift on 3 interconnected pillars of the vision on adaptation, mitigation, and leadership. Next slide. So as a requirement for this call, applicants were to submit a 3-page narrative which summarizes their vision and key actions that they are taking towards being climate smart. They were also encouraged to highlight any exceptional thing that is undertaken considering one or more of the 3 pillars defined by IWA. So at the end of the call, we received 56 applications from 34 different countries, and this highlighted a truly global outreach of the program. You can see from the screen the different countries who submitted applications to the recognition program. Next slide. So these applications were subjected to a review by 3 independent jury. And the aim of the review was to assess whether the application was worth to be celebrated during the 2022 IWA World Water Congress and Exhibition. And then also to assess whether the application was exceptional in the sense that it covered all the 3 pillars. It also considered the local context of the utility. And then on the scale of 1 to 3, they were asked to rate the application considering whether it was inspiring and ambitious. It was also replicable for utilities who are also facing similar contexts and challenges. And then lastly, to rate whether the application was innovative. Next slide. At the end of the review, 42 out of the 56 applications were celebrated as climate smart in the framework defined by IWA. That is to say, these applications submitted are regarded as sound and worth to be shared within the IWA community by majority of the jury members. Within this 42, 26 were also considered very exceptional by the jury, considering that the actions undertaken are inspiring and ambitious, and then also the actions implemented are innovative in each of the pillars of the Climate Smart Initiative. Next slide. So we are currently working with these recognized utilities to showcase their climate actions in what we termed as the climate stories. We have currently published some of the stories, and we are still working with them to publish more of the stories. So we will encourage you to visit our site for more information regarding the IWA Climate Smart Initiative and the recognition program. Or you can contact myself or the program's director on the email addresses that has been displayed on the screen. Next slide. So we are now going to listen to some of these utilities who have been identified as IWA by Climate Smart, as Climate Smart. We are going to have presentations from Manila Water in the Philippines, AISA from Argentina, and Kaduna Water from Nigeria. So I will invite our first speaker, who is in the person of Ms. Sarah Begado. She is the Sustainability Head of Manila Water Company and responsible for environmental, social, and governance strategy, and as well as performance reporting. Prior to her appointment, she held various roles in the organization, spanning from quality management, program management, human resources, and customer service. So Ms. Sarah, please share with us Manila's Water's actions to tackle climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. I hope you can hear me.
Ms. Sarah, can you try your presentation to share?
Yes. You cannot start screen share. Sorry, it prompted.
Can you try now?
Yeah. Okay. But I hope I'm coming across clear.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, you can see it now. All right. Hello and a pleasant day to everyone. Again, thanks, Brenda, for the introduction. And thank you also for inviting Manila Water to share our practices when it comes to climate change and climate action. What we're doing is not perfect. There's still a lot of areas for improvement, but we still wish to share with you so that we can share feedback and get your insights as well on how we can improve. But just a quick introduction. Manila Water is a publicly listed company. We operate predominantly in the Philippines, but we also have presence in Southeast Asia and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We serve approximately 12 million um, people across these service areas. And Manila Water is actually more known for its social impact of providing water access to urban poor communities. Um, so that is from a sustainability perspective. But as we reduce inequalities in society, we also now contend with the global emergency of climate change. And I'm sure most of our listeners and viewers are very familiar already or feel the impact of climate change. So I won't explain it further, but I'd let the pictures in the slide explain what is happening in our country that is aggravated by the natural disasters are aggravated by climate change. So Manila Water is a 25-year-old company, but as early as 2007, we already recognized the impact of climate change. And so we were one of the first to adapt a climate change. And the provisions highlight that we prioritize climate change adaptation. So we put it first because we feel that it gives a sense of stability to our customers, that we are able to deliver our services. And at the same time, we can focus on mitigation once we have achieved a certain level of stability in our business operations. So in principle, we put adaptation first to mitigate the risk and address the threats. Firstly, by addressing our water security concerns, which I think is very apt for this conference on water security. So we are now constructing new water sources that is, of course, in partnership with the government, with our regulators, and all our other stakeholders, so that we can achieve by 2025 our ESG target of having at least 15% raw water buffer by that time. And coupled with that, of course, is to make our facilities resilient. We regularly conduct climate scenario assessment and resilience and business interruption studies. And from that, we build our facilities or retrofit our facilities to be able to adapt to natural calamities and other area conditions. So the picture in the middle is actually a picture of one of our wastewater treatment plants. If you can see that it's built on stilts, because the area where it is located is usually flooded up to 2 meters high. And also, we emphasize our business continuity program. We have constructed 8 online emergency reservoir in various locations, so that in case of calamities like strong typhoons or earthquake that may cause disruptions in the service, we have something to give our customers. And with that would be our crisis management plan and our grid-based operations. And of course, we cannot prepare for everything, but in case a crisis or a disaster happens, we have our emergency preparedness and response program. Of course, that again involves the community and our stakeholders in various government agencies. We also have a mobile treatment plants that is part of our disaster risk reduction and management. And our foundation is also very active in relief operations by providing potable water and other needs of the communities. Even if it's not in our service area, we still respond to the needs of the communities in that region or in that sector. Now, since probably we've achieved that certain level of stability in adapting to climate change, again, it's not perfect. It's still a work in progress. We now try to also mitigate or contribute to climate change mitigation. Firstly, by energy efficiency, and probably this is a favorite strategy of most because it also makes good business sense. Um, Energy efficiency also contributes to cost efficiency. Some of the programs I've listed in the slides, but uh, let me just highlight that a big chunk of it would be the use of gravity lines in our distribution system and demand-based network management. So we are able to reduce our energy consumption through these various energy efficiency programs and projects. Also, we are transitioning to the use of renewable energy sources. We purchase most of our electricity, and we made it in our contract that at least 20% of our electricity that's being supplied to us would be sourced from renewable energy options. So aside from that, we also have solar panels. It's not a lot, but some of our facilities are partly run on solar energy. And our forward plan is to increase our RE generation on site. That would be in the project pipeline would be our biggest facility. So it is something that we look forward to in the next few months, that we're able to increase our on-site renewable energy operations. And also our watershed management, we get our water sources from several watershed areas, and so that we have to protect and rehabilitate as well. And we see to it that the trees grow and are nurtured. So watershed management is both an adaptation and mitigation strategy for us. Aside from abating the risk of deteriorating raw water quality in our sources, the carbon that we get from the trees that we plant and nurture in our watershed areas. Of course, we do not do this alone. This ship with the local, sometimes the indigenous communities that we partner with to protect these watershed areas. And of course, part of our efficiency program would be keeping our non-revenue water at below 15%. I understand that the industry standard is at 25%, but this strategy, aside from it makes business sense and is also cost efficient for us because we treat less water, it also saves us on electricity and fuel costs. So our forward is for NRW at 15% or better. And so other activities in terms of mitigation, we're currently doing our full greenhouse gas accounting, and we're trying to align also with the science-based approach to target setting to develop our climate strategy and a roadmap. And of course, moving forward, we should be able to finance our strategy or our roadmap to being net zero by 2050. In terms of leadership, capacity building, and engagement, we continue to run information and education campaigns, just on water and wastewater treatment and operations, but also in terms of climate change. And so we have several advocacy programs in this area to involve our stakeholders. And I guess I mentioned this earlier as well, that in partnership with the government and other stakeholders, we have our emergency response and relief operations. And probably due to these efforts, the IWA has recognized Manila Water as one of the climate smart utilities, and it inspires us to further our efforts in terms of addressing this global issue on climate change. And I hope we can partner with some of you as well in the audience. And with that, I end my presentation and happy to answer any questions that might arise later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sarah. If you have any questions on this presentation, I will kindly ask you to use your Q&A box in your Zoom platform. And after all the presentations, there will be time to answer these questions. Our next presentation is going to be from Mr. Juan Jose Lavasi from AISA. He is a technical advisor to the International Affairs Department of AISA, and he carries out technical evaluations of new business, knowledge management, and implementation of new technologies. He has worked for the last 15 years as a teacher, software development, and the implementation in the oil and gas industry on video games and the water sector. Mr. Juan Jose, please kindly share with us your climate journey to tackle climate. Thank you.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you to Brenda, Daniela, and Carlos from the Iowa Climate Smart Utility Program. I will share with all of you our case. Okay, can you see my screen? I will hide this and this. Okay, here we go. I'm Juan Yerbasi. I work in AISA. Please, I will tell you about who we are. I will go through this that are some of the pillars of the program of Climate Smart. Who we are? We are the company that provides the drinking water and sanitation services in Argentine, from the Buenos Aires and 26 municipalities around. That is 15 million people in this area of the concession. And as you can see in the map in the center is the full Argentine map, and this little blue circle is the area of our concession, but this little area has 1/3 of the population of Argentina. So we have this main challenge. This is the historic company building from the 19th century, and the company started at that century and passed through different concessions. Now we are now the company called AISA from 2006, and in the mission of the company we have two pillars: be sustainable and bring the service to the full people in the concession. We have these two main challenges. At the time of this building that you can see, this building is in the downtown of Buenos Aires. This was something like a monument to the drinking water. because of importance for the health of the population. And at that time, we told to the world, we have a drinking water system. You can come to Buenos Aires and live, and you will be healthy. Of course, now, today, we know and understand that to live healthy, we need a lot of all things that is not only drinking water. This is the headquarters, the current headquarters of the company, and is under a renovation process that will lead at the end with the LEED Sustainable Building Certification Standard, the Well Healthy Building, and the True Waste Management Certification, and which will make it the first building of Argentina with the triple certification. And we see that a new symbol, a new model for the country and the region of what is to be healthy and a good place to live. About the mitigation actions, we had a long-term master plans that are plans that have a review each 5 years, and the company have a comprehensive energy plan with pillars in energy efficiency, from which the following action and resume the merge. This is from our last audit annual report of the company, that is an external audit report, and we can see that have a 3% of reduction in CO2 emissions compared with the previous years, and we are buying now renewable energy during this period. So also, and at the same time, we have a loan from the Bank of Japan, which allow access to advice to implement the ISO 50000 standard and develop an energy management system. These are some of our mitigation actions. We have a pilot for remove arsenic from groundwater. We are in all America, the problem that the arsenic in the groundwater, and we are developed joined with KWR, that is a Water Research Institute, and Rochelle Kashkonin, joined with the Embassy of Netherlands in Argentina. This pilot that is a technology for remove arsenic with low energy. And also we start in our main drinking water plant, a photovoltaic generation pilot, and we are enlarge this capacity in the next years. About the adaptation actions, we need to bring service to 2.5 million people who habitat in more than 1,000 informal settlements within the concession area, and this is our main challenge. We must bring the service to these people, and at the same time take care about the sustainability and the climate issues. So in our strategy incorporate the Riachuelo system, that is the World Bank largest wastewater investment project in Latin America and Caribbean, which will directly benefit 4.3 million people. We are talking about a loan near the $1,000 million. And we have, in the other hand, the water plus work and sewage plus work plans as a model of comprehensive technical and social intervention on the expansion of secondary network in areas or information settlement with high socioeconomic and or well vulnerability through the creation of jobs to the formation of cooperatives. And also, we must to solve the problem that the people effectively connect to the service. And we are financing the last section of the connection to the end users. About the regional leadership, ISA has the presidency of ALOAS, that is the Latin American Association of Water and Sanitation Operators, which is made up from more than 140 water and sanitation operators from 20 countries of Latin American region. Also, we have the Secretariat in charge of ALOAS of the WOP, seek to strengthen water and sanitation operators to technical cooperation between them. And inside the country, we have the leadership in the COFES, that is the Federal Council of Water and Sanitation Entities in Argentina. This is a few of global partnerships and cooperation. As you can see, we cooperate with financial entities, the private sector, the IT sector, the different universities around the world, embassies, local government, regional government, national government, and different institutes around the world, and also another companies around the world. We believe in cooperation, and we are strong in this kind of partnership. And to close this circle of sustainability, through the ISA Al Mundo program, the company began this search and development of new business bases on the export of the expertise related to sustainable development. And this is one of our main strongest capacity. We development master plans to achieve SDG 6, water quality monitoring system, epidemiological surveillance in wastewater, and master plans coordination tool. All these standards that we attend, international and inside the country, are based on to bring sustainable solutions. And we are in our next steps, continue with the reduction on greenhouse emission gases to achieve the greater efficiencies in our operation, and consolidate the ISA regional leadership through deepen links and cooperation between operators. Okay, this is all for us, and we are available to any comment or questions. I think that we really like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wanwose. As I said earlier on, please, if you have any questions for this presentation, kindly use the Q&A box, and we will answer them after all the presentations. Our last presentation is going to be from Ms. Zainab Said Musa from Kaduna. She is a development economist with interest in fields of natural economic growth. Since completing her PhD from Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, Zainab has been working with the Planning and Budget Commission from the Kaduna State in Nigeria from 2018 up to date. In February 2022, she was attached to the Kaduna State Water Corporation and assigned with the responsibility of planning, budgeting, and monitoring and evaluation. Please join me welcome Ms. Zainab as she shares with us Kaduna's climate actions. Thank you.
Dr. Zainab, we can see your screen. Can you go to the presentation mode? No. Can you go to the presentation mode at the bottom right?
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you.
Please go to the presentation mode.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. My name is Zainab Musa Said from Kaduna State Water Corporation in Nigeria. Before I start, I would like to appreciate IWA for recognizing Kaduna State Water Corporation as a smart utility. And I would like to thank these conference organizers too before I start. Thank you very much. So first of all, before I move on, I would like you to understand our situation. The Kaduna State Water Corporation is located in one of Nigeria's driest regions. The place we are located is very dry, so which means the impact of forces such as climate change, land use due to socio-economic development and population growth will affect water resources across the state. So Kaduna State has the third largest population in Nigeria with an estimated population of 9.48 million in 2020. So you can see how large Kaduna State is. And we have a rapid urbanization, and then the high growth rate is impacting on water resources. So I would like to take you through what I'm going through. We are going through the adaptation, mitigation, and leadership. This is in accordance with our IWA framework, which we presented in Denmark. Thank you. So our adaptation strategies, the impact of climate change on water sources led to low water production and supply, and this led to high demand due to population growth. So the solutions we provided, we made regular media advocacy on efficient use of water, and then we consulted the Kaduna State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency. They are in charge of drilling boreholes because Kaduna State Water Corporation is not mandated to drill boreholes. So we have to consult them so that they can help us drill boreholes. And then my slide is going. And then we have also ongoing efforts which we subscribe to national projects like Nigeria Sustainable Urban and Rural Water Supply Sanitation Hygiene Program, SUWASH, and the Utility of the Future in collaboration with the World Bank. These projects and programs have climate change component in them. So why we subscribe to this program is to help us tackle climate change issues and also to provide efficient services in terms of water supply. And then we have the Kaduna State Urban Renewal Project, and this project constructed drainages to channel water appropriate to the desired collection points. This is to avoid wasted water from rain, and this will increase our water supply because of climate change. Thank you. So in terms of our mitigation actions, we have done some effort towards that too. We have established a GIS unit in 2021. This is to help drive programs towards digitized data collection and storage. And to have this data collection, we have installed an automated flood early warning system and also an automated weather observation system. This is to help us collect data so that we can continue planning towards climate change impact. And we have stopped the use of fossil fuel powered generators for energy in 2019 and 100% use of hydropower, which we get through establishment of a solar energy plant to support our water treatment plants. We have 9 water treatment plants in Kaduna State. And then we have maximized resource recovery to offset GHG emissions within and outside the utility boundary. This was a question asked by IWA during the climate recognition program. And then we are using nature-based solutions like planting trees. We are retrofitting our aging equipment and assets to increase energy efficiency and reduce energy consumption and emissions and non-revenue water. So you can see from the pictures where we have aged assets, we are trying to change them so that we can increase efficiency. Also, one question we are asked during the IWA recognition program was high energy efficiency of the water supply. And one of the biggest challenges we have is that we have an old water company. This dates back to the 1920s. That was during the colonial administration, but it's still functional. This presents a big challenge because many of the assets were never designed to achieve minimal emissions, but we are doing our best. We are installing like soft starters to increase energy efficiency. And then I will take you to our adaptation strategies. To our leadership strategies. So you can see, because of our geographical location, climate change variability, the type of climate and high population growth, and the nature of our services, this compels us to take action towards climate change, that is to lead in climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts. So Kaduna State Water Corporation communicates and fosters partnerships with citizens and key stakeholders, including government agencies like Water Regulatory Commission, and Ministry of Environment. We have the Environmental Protection Agency, CAPA, in terms of sanitation, that is to do with hard sanitation. And we also have the Kaduna Geographic Information Service. This is to do with land administration. We have the Kaduna State Urban Planning Development Agency. And we have other non-governmental organizations that we partner with, and we include them, we communicate with them so that we can plan towards climate change. And then CATSWAC attends both local and international conferences on water supply and wastewater utilities. The last one we attended was the IWA in Denmark, and then the Lagos Water Conference too in Nigeria. And then we try to create national and international leadership using community and other stakeholder engagement like women's inclusion. You can see we do the equal aqua engagement so that we can include women in the water sector. And we attend Global Water Summit too, like the IWA and other water summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zainab, and thank you all to our presenters for these wonderful presentations. You could clearly see that our utilities are taking steps ahead to tackle climate change. Please, the floor is open for questions, any clarifications. If you have any questions, kindly post them to the Q&A box and we will direct them to our presenters to answer them. Going to our Q&A, we have one question for Ms. Sarah. They want to find out what are the major challenges that Manila Water has faced in ensuring water security, especially along the lines of source diversification to meet the basic necessities.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, actually the major challenges that we are encountering is really the growing population in the cities, aside from the impact of climate change. So I've mentioned earlier that what we are doing is developing and constructing new water sources, and that includes treatment plants and the distribution network to lead it to where water is more needed. At present, we source 90% of our water from surface water and 10% from groundwater. We are also exploring other sources, but at present, for instance, desalination, but at present, it might not make economic sense and might be too costly for our communities and customers. That is why we are still currently exploring more surface water sources. I hope I was able to answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a general question to all panelists, so we are going to take turns. Do the utilities have sufficient and sustainable resources? And by this, we mean the technical, financial, and human resources, and a roadmap to ensure the climate journey, and how they are also adhering to the national development commitments by the country. So maybe I would start with one, if you could address this.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we have in our particular case, we are the biggest company in Argentina and one of the biggest in South America. And we have the particularity that a lot of technical and human resource, not so a lot financial resource because of the country situation, but it's a priority in the mission of the company. So we always has a balance between the bring service to the people that already have not the service and take care about the sustainable question. And about the country commitments, we are total aligned. We had no problem with the national government. We are in the same with the same vision. And as a third world, something like kind of country, we have now a strong NDC committee from the countryside. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zainab, could you also address this from your experience?
Thank you, Brenda. Yes, I can say a little about Kaduna State from our own end. In terms of technical capacity, I can say, yes, we have the technical capacity because we understand the challenges we're going to face because of climate change. And that is why I mentioned that we are subscribing to programs like the WASH to do with WASH. This is a project in collaboration with the World Bank. And for Kaduna State, this will provide finance because we are going to have a grant from the national government. And having that grant will enable a lot of things towards climate change. As I said earlier, these programs have a climate change component in them. So we are now in the process of planning for this program. That was why we couldn't go for the Water Association in Denmark. So in terms of human resources, human capacity, though we have challenges because of the way we have an aged water utility, and we're trying to see how we can replace the assets or to retrofit them. So as I can see, we are progressing and we're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the submission. Lastly, Ms. Sarah.
Yeah, actually for Manila Water, I think in terms of the technical and human capacity, you're able to address the issues with regard to water security and climate change as well. But again, it's not perfect. We have rooms for improvement, and we welcome partnerships as well. In some areas, for instance, in non-revenue water reduction, we could confidently say that we are an experts in that field. But for the other areas that may contribute to further mitigation action on climate change, that is an area that we welcome partnerships. Same with the financial capacity of the company. As to the contribution, I think there was a question on the contribution to the NDCs. The Philippine government also contributes, and I think there is a target of around 75% reduction in emissions, and part of that is the contribution of the water utilities through wastewater treatment. So the Philippine government is looking forward to increasing our wastewater services through aerobic centralized wastewater treatment to avoid methane emission in the communities. So that is our commitment to the Philippines' nationally determined contribution. Thank you.
Acts. From the IWA recognition program, it's obvious that many utilities are taking actions to tackle climate change. But then I believe there are many more utilities out there who have not even started taking any action to tackle climate change. So now my question is, what advice would you give to a utility who has not yet taken any action to implement some of these climate change actions? Maybe Zainab, if you can give it a try.
Okay, thank you. So I think because of the impact of climate change, and which is evident now, we can really see what is happening. And I can say we have enough we have awareness now, even from the global conference that we just had in Egypt. So I think we need to catch up with what we need to do in terms of water supply because of climate change. So I advise other utilities to network, because networking is very important. Because I can remember it's through networking that we are able to collaborate with IWA, and we presented our case in Denmark, and this is really good. And now here we are again in another conference. So I think water utilities should be open to the world, should collaborate, and should seek national and international assistance and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wan will say, what is your take on this as well?
Yes, I think similar to Simon, we are not waiting for the disaster to start to act. And what would advise, I think that we must to see the world, see other companies, and look what are they doing, and I think that this kind of programs is quite useful for that. What are they doing? What can I do with another companies, and to start to put inside all the procedures of the company this little action about the climate issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Sarah, what do you also have to say about this?
Yeah, well, actually, I echo what Zainab and Juan were saying a while ago, and I completely agree. And if I just may add, I think utilities need to start with adaptation, because I feel that anywhere in the world, you're already feeling the impact of climate change. And once you get started with adapting, and you have achieved that level of stability, then that's time that you can help contribute to climate change mitigation. And probably the additional advice that I would say would be to really start from the leadership. The leader has to drive the agenda and the direction in terms of climate change and what the organization needs to do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We spent too much time on that. We have a last round of questions. So the anonymous says, dear all, present quite insightful. And considering the fact that all our presentations are from developed countries, they want to find out what was the motivation and how did they create the enabling environment to prioritize climate change in their utilities agenda? What triggered some of these actions? Could it be that there was a social pressure or national policy or regulation in the country which triggered some of these actions? Maybe Juan, if you can take lead in answering this for us.
Yes, I think that is similar to my other answer. We have now a limitation from the regulation of the national government. We are acting in advance. This is our case, and we are create together with the government some kind of regulation to could act. This is our particular case. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Zainab.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I can see what triggered Kaduna State Water Corporation to take action is that some of our dams have silted, meaning that there is no water again, and we find that people are farming on the dam because it has silted, but there is moisture, so they are growing vegetables and other farm produce. So that made us to realize that we're having issues. And as I said earlier, we are located in one of the driest parts in Nigeria. So we can see some of our perennial rivers are no longer perennial. They are drying day by day. So that is what is making us realize that climate change is true and we have to do something. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lastly, Ms. Sarah, if you could also share your view on that.
Yeah, for motivation is relatively easy because we all feel the impact of climate change. And as I mentioned earlier, it is actually the leadership team that drives the inclusion of the climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies as one of the priorities of the company, because we realize and we recognize that if we do not do something now, then we will bear the consequences of aggravated natural disasters moving forward. And primarily that would be the motivation for Manila Water to act on the issue on climate change. Thank you.
Thank you also very much for your time and your presentations. We really learned a lot, and I'm sure many out there have also taken a lot from your presentations. And if there are any more questions or clarifications, please feel free to contact any of these speakers or contact us through the Climate Smart addresses. And we will now invite our director, Ms. Daniela Benfica, to share a few words with us and then give the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. For me, it's good morning. Thank you very much, Brenda, for moderating such an interesting discussion. And on behalf of the International Water Association, I would also like to thank our three speakers for their availability to be here today presenting their inspiring climate smart actions. And also thank to our audience for raising so many interesting questions. As my colleague Brenda mentioned in the beginning of the session, the Climate Smart Utilities Initiative was developed by the International Water Association with the main objective of raising awareness of utilities worldwide about climate change and inspiring them to act. As also mentioned before, utilities are at the same time drivers of climate change due to their high emissions and also impacted by climate changes, especially due to change in precipitation patterns, sea level rise, as even showed here, and increase in natural disasters. So there's need for them to act now and address simultaneously mitigation and adaptation. While the community of practice established within the Climate Smart Utilities Initiative is a great platform for knowledge and experience sharing, allowing utilities to learn from and giving them from their peers' experience and giving them tools to plan their climate actions. The recognition program, which 2022 edition was recently announced in our during our World Water Congress, celebrated utilities that are already acting towards climate resilience. So the 42 utilities celebrated were from different geographies, showing that prioritizing climate action is feasible in all socio-economical contexts. So today's speakers, Manila Water Company, AISA, Aguas y Saneamientos Argentinos, and Kaduna State Water Corporation were three of these celebrated utilities. Today here, they describe their very interesting mitigation and adaptation strategies. So Manila Water presented the adaptation strategies focused on ensuring water security, resilient facilities, and implementing a business continuity management plan. This is very interesting, while also ensuring emergency preparedness and response, which is also very important, especially for in a scenario of increasing natural disasters. Regarding mitigation, they are also working on adopting energy efficiency measures, reducing non-revenue water, implementing resources recovery, and promoting watershed management actions. AISA in their turn, showcase their experience related to upgrading infrastructure, reducing water loss and energy consumption, discharge monitoring, and most important, if we consider the objective of achieving SDG 6, ensuring access to services in informal settlements, while also implementing social interventions. AISA also highlighted the important program of knowledge exchange and cooperation with their peers, which is pretty much aligned with IAA Climate Smart Utilities Initiative. Finally, Kaduna State Water Corporation presented not only their technical mitigation adaptation actions. For instance, they presented their energy efficiency program, the nature-based solutions that they're also adopting, but they also highlighted the strong leadership role played by them through a strong communication strategy with end users and other stakeholders, knowledge sharing with other African utilities, and capacity building actions. Having these three middle-income countries' utilities presenting here today from different continents is not a coincidence at all. This was planned by us. Although most utilities which applied for the Climate Smart Utilities Recognition Program were from developed countries, many utilities from emerging economies also submitted their narrative. So those are three of them, showing that it is feasible, it is possible to prioritize climate action in multiple socioeconomic contexts. The International Association, as the leading global association of the water sector, believes that all kind of knowledge sharing is relevant. However, we also believe that South-South exchange is particularly important, even more relevant, as global South countries tend not to only to face similar challenges, but also to have to deal with very similar financial constraints. So learning from each other's experiences, from South experiences, can be a very important tool to support utilities that have already started their journey towards water resilience, but also to inspire utilities that have not yet prioritized climate action, that we know that this exists a lot yet, to actually include mitigation adaptation in their short-term agendas. With this in mind, I invite you all to learn more about IAA Climate Smart Utilities Initiative through our website that Brenda has already shared, or contacting us, to join our Climate Smart Utilities Community of Practice, both sharing your experiences with and learning from your peers, and to participate in the 2023 Climate Smart Utilities Recognition Program to be launched in the following months. Once again, I would like to thank the Asian Institute of Technology for organizing such an interesting event and giving us the opportunity to run the session. Our three speakers for both participating in our Climate Smart Recognition Program, but also for being available to share your experiences again today. And our audience for your attention and valuable contribution. I wish you all a very good rest of the day, and the session is now closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So, thank you all for joining. We are closing the session now.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.